Hey guys, it's Smiles Behind Lupus. I want to come and do a video on when your illness, chronic illness, or autoimmune disease gets to the point that you have to stop working. I want to just give you tips or experience of what I had to do when I had to go on disability. The first, because they're sick, that they can automatically go on disability, and that's not the case. Disability is a very, very hard process to prove for, because they make it difficult because they kind of want you to go back to work despite what's going on. So these are some of the illness that are on the Social Security site. The next topic is proving that you have these impairments and that these impairments are causing you not to be able to work and do your current job. Find out, is your condition, does it make you have to be off for at least a full year? Because if your condition is only a short-term condition, then you're not going to get approved for disability. It has to be something that's going to be over a year, and that your condition is pretty much a lifetime thing, and you're not going to have a cure from it. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Difference between SSI and SSDI. Social Security disability is you've worked enough work credits, is what they call them, and you've paid in enough time and years into the Social Security system. I have Social Security disability because I've worked since at least I was 15 years old. So I had enough time to qualify for Social Security disability. So the other SSI, which is supplemental Social Security income, it's for people that have not worked enough years into the system, and it's pretty much, it's based on your need, that you're sick and you need to be helped. You have children that have been on, SSI since they were born. If you're on SSI, there's a lot of restrictions that I don't think some people realize. You can't have a certain amount on your bank account. You can't own a whole lot of property. Your car can't be valued over a certain amount. It's a whole list of things. Like, you can't have investments, because with you having investments or anything like that, they will take your check and decrease it. For Florida, I don't know if each state is different, but I think the highest that you can get in SSI is like $750 something, which is like, let's say you're just a single person, and that's not, and how can you survive off of $700 a month? That's when people have to go to income-based housing, or senior communities. It's very hard to live off of that, and they make it very difficult. The limit, according to online, was that an individual that's single can't have more than $1,200 of resources in their account or in their possession. And as a married couple, you can't have more than $3,000. Every single nickel and dime has to be accounted for. And that's very hard when you are on a fixed income. What can you do with $700? Like, if you can't get into an income-based housing, let's say you got disabled, but you owned a house, you can't even, like, they'll look at your value of your house, and you can't even say, well, I'll sell my house. Like, it's such a crazy process, and that's why a lot of people that really need it, they get so frustrated with the process and try to give up. But my next topic is tips that will help your disability case tremendously. Tip number one is always keep a calendar separate from any other calendar that you list every doctor's appointment on, because when you get ready to fill out your application process, they're going to ask, when's the last time you saw this doctor? Who do you see? So I had a separate calendar, and I can't find my binder because I think it's still packed up in the garage, but I literally had a binder with all my stuff in it that was pretty thick. And some people are like, oh, you don't need all that. Yeah, you do, because they want one wrong thing for you not to have that information for them to just say you're denied. Number two, all medical records, you need to have them on hand. So what I suggest you do is, some doctor's offices are nice enough that they'll print you a summary of your visit or your office visit when you go in with no problem, just depending if you have a good rapport with the staff. Some people want you, if you're not going to a different doctor, you have to pay. So the rule of thumb is just tell them, hey, I need my records because I'm going to Dr. So-and-so. It's not lying, but you just tell them that you have to hand carry your records, and that will eliminate you from having to pay for medical records, because most places are $1 a page up until a certain point, and then it kind of goes down to like 50 cents a page. But if you have an extensive medical history, that gets very expensive. So you need all of your doctor's visits. You need every labs that you can get a copy of, every medication that the doctors ever put you on, with a list of your side effects. Any testing, which means x-rays, MRIs, CTs, any kind of radiology scans, put that, make a binder of everything. And the way I did my binder, I organized it by doctor. Like, okay, here's pain management, here's rheumatology, here's family practice, here's whoever. And under each section, I put that correlating record too, so I could have that readily available. Keep all scheduled appointments is number 3. I know it's hard if you, I think I went like a year or more without insurance when I finally had to stop working. I know it's hard because your doctor wants you to pay up front, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have that kind of money. You got to figure it out. You need to keep your appointments, because they will ding you for not keeping and following up with your doctors in a timely manner, because they don't look at it or care that you missed this appointment because you couldn't afford the copay to go. They look at it as, oh, you're being non-compliant because your doctor told you to come back in 4 weeks, and then you didn't come back until 2 months or 3 or 4 months down the road. So they're looking at it as, oh, well, you must not be that sick because you didn't keep that appointment. So my key for that is, try to get in an organization of a hospital that is a non-profit hospital. Because when you deal with for-profit, they're not going to help you. They're not going to give you any breaks. But if you go to a non-profit group and a non-profit hospital, they can work with you on your insurance issues or no insurance. Because let me tell you, if you go to the ER at a nonprofit, you don't have insurance. Of course, they have to treat you. But once you're done, ask them for a financial compensation application. And you fill that out and you say, I don't have insurance. And 9 times out of 10, most of them, if the funding is there, they will write that whole balance off. So try to stick with the same group of doctors in the nonprofit setting, because for profit, they don't care. They want their money. They may give you a 20% discount if you pay cash, but who has that if you got a bill that's $10,000, $20,000? Nobody. So that's a good tip. If you go ahead and just use a nonprofit hospital. Documentation. making sure that you go in with a list of the symptoms and problems that you're having, and making sure your doctor writes those down and addresses those, or that it's somewhere in your chart. Because you have some doctors that say, oh, you can only choose the top 3 ailments because we don't have that much time in a visit. Oh, freaking well, I'm gonna need for you to write it down and make a note. Patient mentioned these problems, but we're going to address XYZ, and the other 4 we're going to address at the next visit. But at least it's a paper trail showing that you told your doctor what's wrong with you and it's in your records. Because I've seen so many times where people was like, well, I told the doctor my back was hurting, but you went in for your back and your high blood pressure, but your doctor decided all he was going to treat you for was your high blood pressure. That will ding you when it comes to getting your application. So you need to make sure that all records are the way they should be. Age. I applied on my own twice and was denied. And I always say, after your second denial, you just need to get an attorney, because it's just how the system works. And they have a cap. They can't get more than $6,000 from you, when it comes to like your back pay and what. My issue was, the first time I applied for disability, it was after kidney failure. And I think it was, the kidney failure and adrenal insufficiency. In that same year, in 2012, they basically told me, yes, we see you had kidney failure. Yes, we see you had back surgery and adrenal insufficiency. But due to your age, your ailments are not going to be lifelong. So you just need to work or go find a different job. Second time around, it was when I finally got my lupus diagnosis. Denied. Yes, we understand now you have something that's lifelong and there's no cure, but you're, in your 30s, so that's not going to work. And I'm thinking to myself, are you freaking kidding me? I'm listing like all of the things that are wrong with me other than lupus, and I still can't get approved. Grading, do you think I've always worked 1 to 2 jobs, always? And do you think like I just want to be home with no money? I've got bills. I have a son to take care of. Really? So I don't qualify because I'm young. Fine. I decided, okay, at this point, I just need to go ahead and, seek an attorney's help. So my attorney did an appeal because it was in that window of, you have 90 days once you're denied to file an appeal. So I think it's 90 or 60 or 90 days. I'll find out and try to put it on the screen. So they have filed an appeal and they got denied. So at this point, my attorney said, okay, it's time to request a hearing. And so that's what we did. The process took forever, literally like 2 years, I want to say, because I just started getting my disability this January of 2017, because they look at it, if you're under the age of 50, they figure, well, you need to go find something else that you can do. And that's not, that makes you feel very, helpless. One other good thing for you to do is do what's called a functional capacity exam, and that is where a doctor evaluates you. It takes a couple hours because they're trying to see how long you can sit without having pain, how much can you lift without having pain, how far you can walk without having pain. But with that on your side, that is a very good thing for you to have if your doctor has not already documented it. But the top 8 reasons that people get denied. Number 1, you don't have enough work credit. You're like, well, what the heck does that mean? When you apply for disability, they want you to work. They want your work history for at least the last 15 years. And if they kind of see, well, she was here for 6 months, like that counts against you if you're not on your, not to say that you need to be on the same place for 15 years, but in my case, my 15 years were consistent in the medical field. Like, they saw that. They knew, like, I wasn't jumping from job to job, career to career. They want to know that you've had enough work history, because if you're someone that, and I've seen this where women mostly that, like, they were stay-at-home moms and their dad, you know, not their dad, and their husbands took care of them, and then they try to go for disability. They're looking at like, well, you ain't worked nowhere in 15, 20 years. Like, what have you been doing? They look at it as like it's your fault, because they feel like you haven't contributed to society and paid into the system, and that's a ding against you. I'm not saying you don't be a stay-at-home parent, but I'm just saying they look at that. They want to know that you've been somewhere trying to work. And the thing was, I know it says you need to be out of work for a year, but my attorney said the fact that I kept trying to go to work, from full-time to part-time to PRN, which is as needed, I was trying. And every time I tried, there was a paper trail of how sick I got, or if I ended up in the ER or the hospital, there was a paper trail. And that was to my benefit. That I wasn't just somebody that was just not going to do nothing, that I was just going to sit at home and just wait for them to one day approve me. I was literally trying against doctor's orders to provide for my family. So, number 2, you make too much money. You're like, what the heck? So some people, you get work comp or unemployment. But you got to understand, if you apply for unemployment because you had to leave your job, or they fired you because you called in too much, you got to understand, if you take unemployment, that unemployment, one of the rules is you have to be steadily looking for work and you can work. So you getting unemployment will immediately deny you, because they're going to be like, well, you're drawing money, but you're also telling the government that you are looking for a job and you can work. Work comp, same thing. You're hurt because you're getting work comp because you got hurt on the job. Until you finished your case, disability won't give you any additional money. Number 3, your condition is not considered a disability. So there's a lot of people that may feel that their illness is a disability. And let's take cancer. Cancer is horrible. You have to go through chemo, radiation, depending on the type of cancer. A lot of people get denied because they look at cancer as, yeah, you may have it, but you can receive some type of treatment and hopefully it'll go away. It isn't until your cancer is to the point that where they say, well, you're stage 4, that you could get approved for disability. So sometimes I don't know all of them, but some people feel like, well, because I have XYZ, I can't work, but they don't see it that way. So just go into the Social Security website, look at the list of impairments to see if you qualify. And then even if you qualify, if it says something, let's say, you do have lupus, or here's one. You have HIV, let's say that. And there's a list, like, okay, this is a list of impairments, but here are the guidelines that go with that impairment. You have to at least been in the hospital more than once in a year, failed on multiple medications before they would even consider you for disability. It's crazy because it's not a cure, but they don't look at that as an actual disability just because you got diagnosed with it. It has to be more to it, and that disease has to lead to other illnesses. So it's crazy how the system works. And they do this because I think prior people were just getting on disability that didn't need to be on disability. So it makes it hard for people like us that need it and you can't get it. So number 4, Social Security disability, when you apply, they feel like when you get denied because they feel like you can go work a different job. I've already, touched on that, so I really don't need to elaborate too much more. Number 5, you don't have the right documentation available when you're filling out your application. And we've already went over the documentation of what you need to have on hand, because what you need to realize is when Social Security, when you apply, they send a medical records request to your physician. Your physician has a certain amount of days, I want to say it's 15 days, to get the information back to them. Myself working in medical field, I've seen how medical records is the last thing on half of the office's mind unless you have a dedicated person for medical records. And a lot of the time they won't even send anything. So guess what? They don't call and say, hey, did you get this records request? Because, you only have 15 days. They just deny you. And let's say your doctor decided you had a big chart because they've been seeing you for 20 years and they don't want to give you, take the time to copy your records. They'll deny you. Because you got to realize, if a doctor charges you $1 a page, Social Security, I think, gives them a flat rate of like $15 or something. It's like a really small amount. It don't matter how many pages in your chart, that's all they're going to get. And some of those doctors will be like, no, whatever. And then they have a questionnaire that the doctor is supposed to fill out. And a lot of doctors are like, I don't want to do that. You need to go to this other doctor. So that affects the person. So that's why I say have that documentation that I mentioned earlier in the video with your medical records. That way, when you do your application, you can send all that stuff to them. So all they need to really do is send a questionnaire to your doctor. And my suggestion is, if you've applied, schedule an appointment with your doctor and say, look, I got this questionnaire that I need filled out, and pay that little $20 that most doctors charge you to fill out a form, so you know that your stuff is getting handled. Because the lack of a doctor's office not doing their job will get you denied. Number 6, incomplete or inaccurate information or explanation on your application. A lot of people feel like, oh, well, that doesn't apply to me. Well, you need to put, does not apply in that space. You need to be as specific, use extra paper as possible. When they ask what ailments you have, you list them to the best of your ability. When they ask what side effects of every medication, you need to make sure you have that. A lot of doctors say, oh, well, don't read the side effects. Yeah, you need to read your side effects, because you need to know that this medication is causing XYZ, because that's going to be towards your favor. Because if you're on pain medicine 3 times a day, how can you hold up a job and take pain medicine? Because you're going to be under the influence of a narcotic, so you can't work. How about this medicine makes you have diarrhea all day when you take it? How can you do your job efficiently? It doesn't matter what job you're in. Healthcare, cashier, fast food, it doesn't matter. If you're stuck in the bathroom because you have diarrhea or vomiting from a medication, how can you effectively work? Give them everything. Number 7, technical error. Because they always say that, everyone's human. Everyone makes errors. Sometimes you may have gotten everything into them and they could just forget to scan it in to the next person that reviews it, and then you get denied. So just keep that in mind. Number 8, you decide to give up. And that's happened so much because they want you to be frustrated. They want you to just throw your hands up and say, I'm done. I ain't got time for this, whatever. I'll just do what I got to do. And if I drop dead, I drop dead. That's what people think, because I got frustrated. And they want you to get frustrated because they feel like, oh, well, if you just get frustrated and you don't follow the pill or keep trying, you must really not be sick. Here, the government doesn't care. They don't want to give you, even if you worked enough years, they still don't want to give it to you. So don't give up. Don't be discouraged. It's going to take a couple years to get everything. Literally, when I went in for my case, at this time, I was still on oxygen. I went in. I wasn't in there 5 minutes. I kid you not. I sit down. The judge was like, so you haven't worked since 2012. I think it was 2012 or 2013 that I hadn't worked. I think it was 2013. And I said, no, sir, I had not. Well, I apologize that you had to come this far. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, like, am I finna be denied? Like, I can't take it, Jesus. And he was like, because you have an awesome attorney that has all your stuff in order and you got all your medical records, you're approved. I was approved based on my back alone. And my lupus and everything else, my oxygen was like secondary. I'm going to go back He either went back to 2012 when I first applied or 2013. It was a couple years that he went back. And I was so thankful. He was like, okay, have a good day. Happy that I had a means of income. I could finally try to apply for some type of insurance. My son would be receiving a disability check from me. So your child, if you have kids, they get half of what you get per month. So I was thankful for that because I could help his dad, even though like me and my ex, like that's never been an issue when it comes to finances. But I still felt, you feel guilty because you want to be able to do no matter what. So that was a blessing that he, got it. So I was able to receive back pay. My son received back payment, and that's it. Now, by any means, yes, because I'm on Social Security disability because I worked enough time, my income is nowhere near when I used to work. I'm going to just be real. Because the money that I get, they take out my Medicare from it. So it's still, I'm blessed. Don't get me wrong, but it's not, what you think you should get because of what you used to make. I would say my income, I probably made $1,500 to $1,700 more minimum when I was able to work. So you definitely have to, do some adjusting on, expenses and budgeting.